Hello. Hey, it's Alexander Lawrence from the Portable Infinite. We're talking about Mulligan Stew by Gilbert Sorrentino. The first chapter, the first part was so short, I just figured, okay, well, I think it was kind of like Thomas Mann. I felt like, oh, I got to do two chapters today. So let's see. So this chapter is a little bit more kind of. It goes back and kind of comments on what's happened previously. There's journals, there's interviews with different authors. Let me go to. I was like reading some of the stuff on Goodreads. There's quite a bit of reviews. Let's get a few choice reviews here. Okay, so one guy says, "This is writing at its finest. Every chapter, scrapbook, journal entry, review, letter is straight up genius writing at the highest level." And then some other guy says, "This is may not be Finnegan's Wake, and it really wants to be, but it may be as close to the American idiom. We'll come to it." I think it's more. I mean, so far it's more like Ulysses. It's not really. There's not Finnegan's Wake. I mean, kind of difficulty. Let's see. Uh, so this guy was just talking about stuff we know about. Let's see what this guy says. Deeply strange, funny, clever, offensive, and difficult to read. Sorrentino goes hunting for tropes, and he pretty much bags as many as are out there. The plot is tenuous, but revolves around avant-garde novels, Anthony Lamont. Yeah, so yeah, when you read, well, I'll get to this. Okay, so let's kind of like review. So chapter two kind of starts out with the second chapter. He kind of gets at this point in the novel. He's kind of getting writer's block. He's not. I mean, you would think like we would see a lot of the novel, but we hardly see anything in this chapter. Best intentions. I'll call it best intentions. I don't know what the chapter is. This is from this is the Lamont novel, and you know, in this part of the novel, he's kind of like talking about the blue sky, and then he kind of compares it to Christian art, and it just seems like, and then occasionally he'll mention Corey and Birth, and that they're kind of the disturbing relationship with Ned Beaumont, and then he just keeps on talking about this guy, and not much happens in this part, and then we get to what is called Lamont's scrapbook. In this part, there's a letter from an editor from Helpers Monthly, and then there's I'm guessing this. I'm not sure who this is an interview with, but it's just like some writer, and and one of the questions are this is like the first kind of interview. It's kind of the first kind of Joycean thing, and then one of the questions are, where are the snows of yesteryear, under the shadow by the piers they waited. And then we get so yeah, in the chapter which is the Lamont novel, they're also talking about this Brophy manuscript called I don't know if it's called anything, but they call it he's B.B. Brophy's The Young Anglican Radical. Okay, then we have this Writer's Helper Monthly. I guess this is an interview from that thing, and then we have the third letter from Mr. Roach. Yeah, and he's talking about they're kind of discussing his novel Rayon Violet, and he's trying to answer some questions, and he has, he's talking about how, the overriding symbol of rayon violet is plastic, and so he's talking a long letter, and he's talking about. Then he quotes a couple pages of rayon violet here, and then we get to the first how the main character's Halprin's journal, and he's talking about some of the stuff that we're thinking, like, as we're reading this, like. And I mean, the way that Sorrentino has it is, like, these characters, like, there's some of these, they come from some other novels, James Joyce, Fitzgerald, or so Dashiell Hammett, and, like, when they're not being used in a writers, they kind of like sit in a room and wait to show up in another novel and stuff, and so like, so Halprin says, were there a god, I would beg him to tell me why he allowed this scribbler, this unbearably pretentious hack, Anthony Lamont, to place me in this ridiculous position. The things I have been forced to say, the utter silliness of the story so far. So he's kind of railing against this. This is, we're kind of 25 pages in, and he's kind of making fun of the book so far. So, and then we got another letter to Sheila, his sister, and they mentioned that she's married to another writer who's sort of popular, Dermo Trellis, and they're moving to San Francisco. And he's praising his early work. And then let's see. Speaking of fiction, my own new book, Guinea Red, is giving me more trouble than I bargained for. I'm trying to write an absurdist mystery story, if you can conceive of such a thing. My narrator is a man who has lost touch with his life so much that he doesn't know whether or not he is a murderer. So, and then we get back to Halprin's journals, and then he's saying that Lamont has not employed us in some time, maybe 10 days. So he's written a few chapters, but the characters are kind of like in this limbo. Like, they're like, imagine like a room where characters go and wait to be another character. And so they're kind of fiddling around in that room, and then so we get the first, like, real long list of books. And so a lot of these books, The Orange Dress, The Dry Ranges by Gilbert Sorrentino, The Ouija Kiss by Harry Bohr. I mean, a lot of them are kind of sexual jokes, making fun of other writers, some kind of Joycean or Flann O'Brien references, or references to different writers, and even puns on himself. Like, there's a lot of Gilbert Sorrentino type. All his books are referred to in this. Rabbit Run. Other writers. Like writers that you would think of in the 70s. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing I didn't really talk about. So Sorrentino, when he wrote this book, he wrote it from 71 to 75. And as I mentioned in another video, he had left Grove about 1970. Got some unemployment. Was collecting unemployment. Got, like, Grove was kind of like going through an upheaval. He got a bunch of money, so he was just able to sit down and write. So, like, this is the book he kind of just worked on for years. But at the same time, he came out with book. This is This is another book I kind of relate to. This one, and I'll show you the Mask of Fungo later. But this book, I'm going to read this month too. It's a very short book. It's much more like his later books that he published on Coffee House Press and some of the later thinner books. I mean, because it's based around or even like Under the Shadow, because it's based on Rimbaud. It's based on the alphabet. It's more like a prose poem. It's a very short read. Can be read. It's more like Edgar Allan Poe. Could be read in an hour or so. So okay, so we getting back to this list. We have a big long list, and then we have okay, so I guess we're still in the Halpern Journal, and in the Halpern Journal, he comes upon an interview with English author Thomas Renfrew McCoy, who kind of like seems like Nabokov or somebody, or some kind of and like I mean, like this. I remember really focusing on this when I first read the book, like stuff like like, let's see, how do you prepare each day to face a day? I look at my bank books. What literary complexities do you find most interesting? That is, what do you like most to solve, so to speak, as a novelist? One wishes to create characters who speak directly to the minds of comparative literature professors and intelligent book reviewers. And then and then he kind of, like when I actually interviewed Sorrentino, I was making sure I didn't ask some of these questions, like, what do you feel like your literary feelings, if any? How would you defend these feelings, if such there be? My only literary feeling, as you drolly put it, has been in my reticence to attack the greatest of literary frauds, James Joyce, or Shame's Voice, as I somewhere justly called him. Have you ever read those letters of it? Good God, they are the letters of a man with a grocer's assistant's mind. Yeah. Who said that? Was that Nabokov or Yeats or something? One of those guys said something like that. But yeah, you can't. But I remember reading this and almost memorizing it, And then he mentions he likes A Big Eye by Sue Dot. And yeah, it's a real funny interview. And then here we get another letter to Professor Roach, and he's talking. He's talking about Anthony Lamont's talking about he's born in Gray Star, Washington, 1925, and he's talking about he read the Bible, Treasure Islands, Pilgrim's Progress, Growing Up Straight, Modern Business English, and blah blah blah. So and then yeah, he's still trying to he's not really writing his book, and he's sort of trying to get some kind of influence with Professor Roach in the Midwest, I'm guessing. So there's that. So that's pretty much it. So I mean, it's the novel kind of develops. It's kind of, I mean, I don't really, I mean, the characters, I mean, they start to become more and more, independent of the novel. Like I said, they kind of exist in this, this limbo. I didn't really think of it that way, but like, like it's like Halpern, I think he was like a minor character in a Joyce book. Was that right? let me go back to my other page here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Halprin is is he from Finnegan's Wake or from Dubliners? I don't know, but he they kind of exist in this kind of green room, and they kind of sit around, and like Joyce died in 41, 51, 61, 70. So 30 years later, you know, Sorrentino's bringing them back to life and writing about them, and they kind of exist in this kind of strange world between fiction and life. And where does somebody go? So does anybody have a question here? I'm reading the second. If you want to follow along, I'm up to page 48, chapter 3. The next chapter is called Painful Digests, and there's a lot of books relating, and I'm looking at some other books that I might read, or some other what is that actually? There's some other books, external links. Yeah, there's another review. Maybe I'll go into it in the next one. But yeah. So I mean, this chapter, it has a couple good interviews. It has like Halprin's journal, where he's talking about his own existence, independent of the novel, and Lamont is basically like just kind of buttering up some professor in the Midwest so far. I mean, there's not much of a novel to talk about. I mean, there's like maybe there's 3 chapters, but 2 seem kind of like the same chapters. It's just you're not really sure what's happening, and so so I don't want to go on too long, and but look forward to the next chapter here. The next one's only like 30 pages, so this is 14 chapters, so one chapter must be like really long or so, I'm guessing. So we'll see, because I know the Mask of Fungo's in there, so I'll put this away, and what else is going on? So I'm taking some classes, and let's see, let me this away, and taking a lot of notes here. And now I'm taking notes for Sorrentino. So I don't know. It's the weekend. I have to get back to my classes tomorrow, but I might get to the 3rd chapter in a few days. I just wanted to get 2 chapters out there, and then once we have like 5 or 6 chapters, then we'll start interviewing some people, and try to get some more background, because and I posted a Lannan video that was done in '93, where Gilbert Sorrentino was reading from Under the Shadow, and he talks about his process and just ideas, and I have a link to my interview, and that was my interview. I'm trying to remember when I did it, like 98. Yeah, so I think he was a bit past, let's see, he like Under the Shadow, like Read the Fiend. I'm trying to remember what book. I don't know if he had a book out at the time, but so yeah, we talked. Well, we did the interview, the original one, around the time of Mysterio. So that was in the Grove Press reader that I read from last week, and then Under the Shadow came out, and we talked about. I think we maybe talked about doing an interview, but I never wrote about too much about Under the Shadow or. Um, and then Read the Fiend came out in '95. Yeah, I guess maybe there was and yeah, no, well, no, I don't think Read the Fiend had come out yet when I did the interview. It was like more like '94. So I guess it was post Under the Shadow. That was still sort of lingering because we were kind of like thinking about doing an interview. So yeah, I'll put links to my interview with Gilbert Sorrentino and the videos, which you should all watch and read. They're on my channel here, and that's it. And just read along and read with me, and so because there's very little about Sorrentino, and I've met him a few times, and I sat in on some of his classes, and maybe we'll talk about that to some of the people who knew him better than I did. Okay, everybody, good night. It's late. It's almost midnight here, and we'll see you in a few days.